Here's how the finished product on this log is going to look. I mean, finished as far as carving. It's a piece of Catalpa, obviously not painted. And it's got some teeth. It's going to be a toothy Santa. There's the bottom of it. Got the bark on that part. I left that on. And you can see the grain and the beard. And as I go on up, you can see the whole length of it. About 15 inches. Started out with just a blank Catalpa log. And the first thing I do there is cut around the band for the hat, the little fluffy part. And this all may be moved later. This is just kind of where I start. That's just kind of the way I do it. And like I said, this is just a demonstration of how I do it. Everybody can do it differently. You can work differently, but this is just, I found this to be easiest for me. Gives me a place to know where the face is going to be and the hat. There's a knot over on the right top side that I'm going to keep on there as the fur ball on the hat. Going to kind of work on that, kind of outline that just a little bit. And even though this is springtime now when this comes out, I did this in the winter, but anytime's a good time to work on Santas because they are year-round goodies. Kind of just roughing in the different parts of the hat, creating a little deeper dive, getting into some good grain. The white part's still kind of soft. And as you get underneath that, it gets the good Catalpa grain where it's a better carving and it looks better. So I try to get all that off, at least go down that deep. And sometimes it's so deep that I'll have to cut down the fur outline up there for the bottom of the hat. But once I have that set in, I just start knocking the bark and all that dead wood off the face. I'm using the big shallow gouge that I have. I think it started out as like a 50 millimeter number 2, but I'm not sure about that. But I do both sides, just knock all that off, and that'll give me a chance to look at the grain and see how far I'm going to have to go deeper, or if I'm deep enough already. And you can already see there's a hole, a crack right in the middle where the nose is going to be. So I decided to work around that, and right now I'm thinking that I'm just going to leave it all natural. Leave the hole there. Give him an extra nostril. Okay, once I get the dead wood, all the massive stuff I know that's got to go off, I'm using a sharper gouge. I think it's a 30 millimeter 15, to kind of outline the face, the sides of the face. And I kind of on that go from the top of the cheekbones to the hat. And not too worried about the hair right there on the edges. I'm just giving an indication of how wide the face is going to be, seeing how that looks. And as I get that down, I see that I'm going to need to go deeper on where the hat meets the head. So I'll do that now. I'm feeling of them to make sure they're pretty equal on both sides. Now I'm going up beside the nose, and like I said, I know I'm cutting into that, or I will be cutting into the crack there, but got to be done. Sometimes it makes it look real good. Sometimes it's in a bad spot. Just going up beside the nose and then cutting from the outside in toward the nose to kind of form the eye mound, or it'll just give it a start. Now I've got the 15 millimeter 15 gouge. I think that's the size of it. And just working on the eye mound up by the side of the nose. I'll do that on both sides. I work on both sides as I go. Sometimes I'll I'll get too involved and do one side way too much, and then it can throw everything off if you don't have enough wood over there or if something needs to be moved. But just going up beside the nose, still not making any cuts that are, as I say, etched in stone. Just getting a good outline of where I want to go with this. Cutting from the high point of the eye and the eyebrow down toward the nose. And getting a little flatter gouge and working around the nose. Kind of rounding the top of it and the sides a little bit. That way as I go I can check the profile and see how I like the profile of the nose. And I use the same tool. Once I get one, I use it as much as I can just to keep from having to change tools all the time. Now I'm back with an even smaller gouge. And again, digging in from the high point of the eye toward the nose. Keep working on that in that area. I like to get an eye mound established pretty good. Not totally made up, but just get the width and the width from the nose and the eyes to make sure I've got everything working, because I still have time and room to adjust the sides if I do. Now, here I'm cutting the bottom of the nose. I tend to start with it a little long and then go back if I need to and shorten it. I usually start in the middle and cut toward the right cheek and then go back and cut from the left cheek toward the middle. I'm doing the opposite here, but I have found that way for me is the safest way for me not to break the edge of the nose off. And this cut also kind of puts in the mustache, the top of the mustache under the nose. And then I cut where I think the mustache will go around the cheek. I just have it follow the cheek in a grinning Santa. Kind of make a handlebar shaped mustache. And again, just the same process as working around the eyes. I start with the big gouge and work down with smaller ones. Eventually I'll get to a V-tool. And this is an old piece of Catalpa. It had been in the shop a while, one of those where I just look over there and find it and like, man, I need to do something with that. Catalpa works pretty good green. Not too prone to checking and splitting. There, I've got the face kind of set in with no details whatsoever, just kind of spots, big orb for the eyes, the cheeks. And again, just working on down with smaller gouges, going under the nose, outlining the microphone, outlining the mustache, getting it to go up the side of the face, then cutting that back in toward the nose. Careful there not to, especially at this point, just to stop it way before you know you need to, so you can go back in. You can have that left there kind of as a safety zone in case you hit it later. You've got some waste wood there that it won't hurt anything, instead of cutting a nostril off. There I'm sitting in the bottom of the mustache will also form the mouth area. Kind of make a traditional archery bow shape. And also drive the edges of it right up to about where the corner of the eyes are. And do that on both sides. And sometimes I, on purpose make it different, but try to get it symmetrical. And here's a little bit. I'm doing getting everything cut in a little more, cutting in up under the hat band. So at this point, I'm pretty well setting in where his head is going to meet his hat. And you can see that big extra nasal opening he has. When I'm making those cuts, I'm also thinking about the eyebrows and how they're going to look on there. I know I need to cut in the eye a little bit more to make the eye mound from the outside in. And there's a hole under his eye there, but it worked out pretty good. I didn't feel it. Trying to stay out of the camera's way, but it's not always done. And I just use the same gouge and work the eye down, the eyeball. Again, making it quite a bit bigger than what I know it needs to be, because I like to put bags under my Santa's eyes, and when they're grinning, they'll squinch up and be pretty thick. And again, just stick my fingers in those eyes, and just like feeling of your own eyes, I'll stick them in there, make sure they feel about the same. And once I do that, I get both sides of that going. Then I can work from the highest point of the eye to the outside of the face. And that's what I'm doing there, even though you can't see it. I'll get better video in this. And that cut there, I'm kind of putting in where the eyelid is, but I'm not cutting it in with a V-tool yet or a knife. I just want that smooth transition where I can change it if need be. I don't have a lot of room to change, but I really am carving pretty slow there to make sure that I have plenty of room left. Just kind of drive into the outside of the eye, because the outside of the eye is further back on the head than the inside, so you can kind of feel that on your own face with your fingers and know how that goes. I think that's one of the problems in people making a face too flat. They don't get enough roundness because they make their eyes too flat. They tend to make the inside and the outside eat level, and it's not that way on your head. But some people can make it work like that. I'm turning a shallow gouge over there and carving the cheek down to the mustache. I do really like the grain on this piece. If it didn't have that hole right up the nose, it'd be even better. And I just want to round that off till it looks good. Again, it's pretty much where I want it, but I'm not, tied to it being exactly there. There's still some waste on there. I can leave it full, or if I need to, I can adjust it later. Like if I cut too much off of one side, I can go back and get stuff off the other side. At this point, I just decided, man, I may have a big cavern here, but I'm just going to have to cut up and carve where the nose ought to be, and if it cuts through, it cuts through. I go in and make a pretty deep cut on the eyebrows. It can be kind of tricky because you want it rounded. You don't want him to look too stern, like he's creased his eyebrows, like he's scowling. I have done some scowling Santas, though, not on purpose, but some of them turn out that way. And again, I just turn the same gouge over and carve in toward that cut to kind of round it off and make it smooth. shape the nose up a bit. I should have kept count. I think I'm on about 5 tools there that I've used so far. Yeah, I think that's right. Maybe more, but about 5 tools to get all this work done. And that's on most of my stuff, no matter what size. I would usually do those same tools I can use those to work stuff down and get it to where this one is now. This is going to be a multi-parter. I don't like stuff to go on too long, and so I'm going to end this here in a couple minutes. But here I've got you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm cutting in the edge of the nostril, and I think I've got a number 8. And I just want to mark them because I know I'm going to have to do something about that hole, either whether I decide to leave it. But right now I'm looking like, man, when I cut the opening for the nostril in there, that's not going to be good. But anyway, I'm just carving it like it's not there. And spoiler alert, if you didn't notice on the front, I did go in and fill it eventually. I don't like doing that, but I think on this piece, it just didn't look good. So as I put in the nostril there, then I've got that big hole on top, and it just doesn't, it looks like an extra nostril. So I ended up filling it. And I work around with that tool, turning it over, I try to put all the curves on that, the nostrils and the nose that goes down toward the lip there. Okay, this is the end of this, and we'll get on to part 2 soon. Hopefully it'll be maybe not months from now.